Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Glad you're joining us tonight. We start with a prayer to a God who knows only love, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Lord, we thank you for all the good things of our life and for bringing us to this day. To understand the events and activities which of the end of the year for the class of 2021. The seniors are an important part of the Hoban community, Lord. We are proud of their accomplishments individually and as leaders within the school. They have learned and grown through their holy high school years and are heading to a next level of education. Lord, we are grateful for their parents and all who have been influential in bringing them to this day and all who guide them on their way. May each student listen to their voice, O Lord, soft as a whisper, inspiring their actions and attitudes, so as they leave Hoban, they take with them the education of their heart as well as their mind and take part in a just and equitable world. Amen. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. We know you have a mixed feeling of anxieties and excitement to have a child graduating from Hoban. And whether it's your first child or your fifth, both emotions are always in your life. With the presentations tonight, we hope to relieve some of those anxieties and make them into excitement. Time has been allowed for questions after everyone speaks. Some questions have been submitted, and if they are not answered in the presentation, they will be responded to as well. You can request us to respond to a question or you can request a specific person to answer your question or open it to anyone. As the evening progresses, if you have a question, please use the Q&A feature to submit the question rather than the chat feature. Mrs. White, Hoban's Director of Communication, will monitor your questions and moderate for us at the end. And now, Dr. Ramos.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to welcome all of you here tonight. I know this is, like several things, a non-traditional senior parent dinner for those of you who've been through this rodeo before. But I want to thank you for trusting us at Hoban with your son and daughter's education. It is our distinct honor, and it has been my honor personally to get to know your sons and daughters over the last 4 years. You know, I know at home they sometimes might, slam doors or have rough days, but here they are some of the kindest, most respectful students I've had the pleasure of knowing. And so this is an exciting time of year for seniors, the time where as administration and faculty and families, we come together to get them across that finish line of high school graduation. And our associate principal, Mrs. Mattis, will talk about that in a few minutes. And this year especially, it's been more challenging than most for our seniors. And so we remember that. I'm sure some of your sons and daughters are ready to fly the coop. You get to this time of year where some of them are pushing the limits on what time curfew is and can they do things with their friends, because next year, no one will know what time they get home. And then some of you might see them kind of hunker down a little bit more and want to spend more time with you as parents or their siblings. And so it's a little bit of a mixed bag depending on your son and daughter. And you might see that ebb and flow through the next couple months of the school year, through the summer. Someone that they've maybe been friends with and haven't separated from since freshman year, those friendships sometimes shift. And it's all part of that learning and growth. And we as a school are here to partner with you on that as best as we're able. So please know any of us on this meeting today, our counselors, the rest of the administration, we are all more than willing and able to help you with that. We promise as a school to really work on that smooth transition so we can all enjoy the next couple weeks and months of our school year. And please remember that even after we have graduation in May, that you are always part of the Hoban family, and we welcome you back at events, when we're able to start having fans and people at events, and welcome you to be a part of that family as well. I'm going to turn things over here in a minute to Mrs. Mattis, our Associate Principal for Student Services, to talk a little bit about academic transitions, and then I'll pop back on in a little bit to talk through our senior events and each of those events that mark that important milestone as they get towards graduation. So introduce Mrs. Mattis.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to take the next couple of minutes to cover some items for you to kind of think about as we get closer to graduation. We are certainly at a point that most of the seniors have submitted applications to college, which is a wonderful thing to have completed. But just a reminder, as you are talking with your children, it's really important for them to finish their year strong academically. One of the things that we are required to do as their college counselors is submit final transcripts. So we certainly want to ensure that their final transcripts are consistent with what the colleges saw when they accepted your children. So that is just one reminder that you can talk with your kids about. The other thing that we want to make sure, if you haven't had the opportunity to take care of yet, is to make sure that you have applied for the FAFSA, which is the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. This is something that if you are looking to apply for grants or scholarships through a college or university or request financial aid, this is pretty much a standard with most colleges and universities. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to either Ms. Reichart or myself, depending on who your child's college counselor is. But if you have not done that but still need to do that, you can do that at fafsa.ed.gov. And then we also wanted to talk to you tonight a little bit about scholarships. So like I mentioned earlier, we're at a point where most of the kids have submitted their college applications. So right now is a really good time to start investigating scholarship opportunities. While most scholarship opportunities for Hoban students come through merit aid, which means that that goes through the admissions office and usually is awarded based on a GPA in combination with the ACT or an SAT, there are other opportunities for kids to just find outside sources to help pay for their college. The first one would be looking up at the college's financial aid website. So once your child has decided where they would like to attend, I would encourage you to go on that financial aid website. And oftentimes you can do one application for freshmen specifically. Sometimes if your child already knows what they would like to major in, there might be some scholarships specific to that major. So go ahead and make sure that your child is looking those things up. The second place that I'd like you to visit is actually on our website. So if you go to the main page of the Hoban website, and I believe it's under Academics and Student Services, and you will find a link to college counseling. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there will be a scholarship link. So I'd encourage you to go ahead and look at that. That is updated very frequently as we are getting in new scholarships. So that is something you will definitely want to go ahead and take a look at. And because we are a private school, I also encourage parents to look at the district that they live in. So really, if you just log onto your district of residence webpage and find guidance, typically you will find some local organizations or local businesses to your school district. The only thing you need to be a little careful with here is that you have to pay attention to whether it says that your student is eligible because they are a resident of the district or the city, and then they wouldn't necessarily be eligible if they were a graduate of that school. So that is another opportunity. Many of you know just through previous webinars that I am new to Hoban, but was coming from another private institution. And that is where a lot of my students would find scholarship, was logging into their specific district of residence guidance page. And then the last thing I'd like you to consider as parents is checking with your employers, or if you have parents, so grandparents, their employers, or any organizations they're involved with. Oftentimes they will also offer scholarships for employee children or even grandchildren. So if you do have a child that has received some type of scholarship, whether that's merit aid, whether that's because of athletics or outside sources, we would please encourage you to go ahead and send us a copy of what your child has been awarded, so we can go ahead and put that in our graduation booklet. We do need those things to be sent to us by April 25th if you would like them to be included in the graduation program. The next thing I'd like to touch upon is Decision Day, which is National Signing Day, which is May 1st. So if your child, this has been a kind of a goofy year with college admissions. Many of our children actually were unable to go and step physically on the campus. So as your child is starting to make decisions about where they would like to attend, I would still reach out to the colleges and see if you can come and do a physical tour. Just before I got on this webinar this evening, I did get an email from the University of Akron saying that they are starting to welcome families back physically on campus, but would give a preference to seniors who are planning on attending. So I would, just encourage you to see if you can go ahead and do that, because that will help your child make that decision. And once you have made the decision and you guys have paid your registration fee, your child needs to make sure they are reading all of the emails that they receive from the college. There's a lot of really important information that will come in these emails, and we want to make sure that you don't miss anything. And even though you are their parents, sometimes those emails are just not going to come to you anymore. So please encourage your child to be checking their emails from the colleges they plan on attending, and maybe even encouraging them to forward them to you. If they've received an invitation to join the portal at this time, that's another thing you want to make sure that they are doing. Sometimes a bill will come in there and you don't want that bill to be late. Registering for orientation will likely come through that portal. So those are things you want to make sure that they are doing. Just a couple more things. If your child took advantage of College Credit Plus or has an AP score that they would like to submit to the institution they're attending, you want to make sure that you are doing that. I would recommend that you wait until the end of the semester. So as we get closer to the end of the May, time period, or maybe early June, that would be a good time for you to contact, or for your child to contact, whether that was through Walsh or if that was from the University of Akron or Kent State or whatever. They need to get with the registrar's office and have that official transcript transferred over to the college they are matriculating to. If they have AP scores that need to be sent and you haven't already previously had those sent, make sure you're logging into the College Board website and having those sent to the college. And then we also have some things that we'd like to advise you on in regards to resources that are on college campuses. One of the things that you can take advantage of is, prior to your child going off to campus, is kind of pointing out or maybe collecting information about, if they're having a hard day or if things aren't going right, who can they contact on campus? So if your child needs some counseling services, or if they're just not feeling well, what are the numbers or the emails to the counseling services, the physicians on campus, also what kind of tutoring is available, and just making sure that they know what avenues to take to get those services would be important. And then finally, if you get to the summertime, and we saw, some of this with once the pandemic started, if your child's plans change over the summer for whatever reason it is, and they need some assistance, please have them reach out to me. I know there are many of you probably on this call that maybe your child is not necessarily on my caseload for college planning, but Ms. Reichart does not necessarily work over the summer, but I do. But please have them reach out to me, and I'm happy to support them and you through that process. If we need to get paperwork transferred to a different school, I'm happy to help. And then finally, just if you have any questions about your child's, just being on track for graduation, we would just encourage you to go ahead and reach out to their school counselor. So thank you so much.
So I think now is a good time to say, I know we're throwing a lot of information at everybody. This webinar is being recorded and we will share this. So if you hear something and forgot to write it down, don't worry, we'll get it out to you. We'll also follow up probably by Wednesday with an email with some of these key details in it, so you have them as well. So don't worry if you're feeling it's like slightly information overload. In terms of some senior events and expectations, I think this is the area we probably, this year especially, have been getting the most questions on. So I'm going to try to go through as much as we're able to share right now. Obviously, kind of this point through the end of the school year, behavior really matters. As I said, we have wonderful, kind, polite, respectful students. As Mrs. Mattis said, grades count towards the end of the year, so does all the behavior as well. And so any serious infraction a student might engage in could eliminate your son or daughter's opportunity to attend prom, senior farewell mass, walk at graduation. And obviously those are milestones that you and your family have been waiting a long time for. And so we want the entire senior class to be present for those. If your son or daughter is in a place where they're skating on the edge of too many detentions or morning tardies, they'll have opportunities to serve those prior to prom, prior to graduation. And those are expected to be kind of caught up to date, as well as finishing senior service and the like. And as I've said before, and I'll continue to say, we'll just keep working in partnership along the way. So for senior events, the first one would be prom, after prom promenade. As you saw in the email that was sent out previously, we have moved those events to April 23rd, Friday, April 23rd. We made that decision to move those events to that date. Is it allows us the opportunity, should something happen where we need to contact trace and quarantine students, we have a window of time to do that where they wouldn't miss out on graduation. The original prom date was too close to graduation, and a 14-day quarantine period would put someone out, or potentially a group of students out of graduation, and we didn't want to risk that. So promenade, at this point, we're looking at hosting it based on current social distancing. We're looking at hosting it outside at the stadium, or if the weather isn't cooperating that day, we have some ideas of kind of posting parents around the building on the inside, and students can take a parade through the halls of Hoban for promenade. Prom and after prom were moved to Guy's Party Center. The last couple years we've had prom at Fairlawn Country Club. They would not be able to accommodate the size of our senior class at Fairlawn Country Club with distancing. Guy's Party Center, for those of you who might have older students who are alums and graduated, that was our prom venue for many, many years, and they're able to host prom. In talking to them on many occasions, we are assured that we can still have a traditional prom. We can have dancing, we can have students sitting at tables for dinner. Obviously masks will need to be on. And we decided and needed to move after prom to that location because the Akron Rec Center, where we have hosted after prom, cannot guarantee that we'll be able to be on campus. They aren't inviting large groups on campus for events like after prom, and they don't know if they're going to be able to make that decision for the time we need it. So at this point, we did go back and look at, you know, in the last couple of years, how many students and dates have attended prom. And so we don't see a reason why we would have to limit the number of, obviously, our seniors, but limit who they can invite to prom. I would remind everyone that guests need to be under the age of 21. And because of the pandemic, if they happen to live out of state, we'll see where the travel advisories are for those states at that time. Becky Vieltorf, after prom co-chair or chair, will be on shortly to talk a little bit more about how you can get on and get involved in after prom. The next big milestone event, kind of in the sequence leading up to graduation, would be Tuesday, May 18th. It's the Alumni Senior alumni breakfast, mass, and the painting of the Hoban letters. This is a mandatory event for seniors that day. We will be able to host the traditional alumni senior breakfast for those of you who maybe have attended in the past. This year, we're going to have them take place in both the cafeteria and alumni gym to allow for spacing. The senior mass, which follows later that morning, will need to be reserved at this point for Hoban seniors. We want to ensure that we can fit the senior class in there due to spacing, but we will be live streaming that as we have done other masses, not only for our entire student body who will be participating in mass that day from classrooms, and we have some fun ways planned out about how the seniors can parade through the building and kind of get a clap out from their underclassmen classmates. But we'll live stream it so families, you can participate and watch as well. The honors assembly at this point, we believe we can host that. We're working on more details of that to follow. And then the big one, graduation and baccalaureate mass, still is going to be on Sunday, May 23rd, 10:30 a.m. at Akron Civic Theater. I've had several conversations with Akron Civic Theater to confirm that they're going to be able to hold graduation. It is going to have a limited number of tickets based on our current numbers. Each family will get 2 tickets for graduation. We will live stream the event. That is going to be professionally live streamed with someone associated from the theater. We want to ensure the visual and audio quality of live streaming graduation in a venue such as that is spot on. So we're working with them and a professional media company to live stream that event. There will probably be a few extra additional tickets, which we will have an opportunity to raffle off to families when you're registering. So information for that will follow in early May, as it usually does for seniors, about registering for tickets if you're interested in extra tickets. You know, if anything we've learned probably in the last 9-10 months or so of COVID, there's a lot of unpredictability. So I want to assure everyone that each of these events that I just talked through, we've really tried to think through based on current spacing and current guidelines and requirements, and have alternatives for each of them. We've talked through if for some reason numbers were to spike and we couldn't have prom on April 23rd, then we could change the date and host it on campus here at Hoban, and we feel very confident we can do that. If there is still a curfew in effect, we've talked to some of the parents coordinating after prom about hosting a after prom type event here on campus for our seniors. Alumni breakfast, senior mass, painting of the Hoban letters, we feel really confident we're able to do those just based on how everything is working. And unfortunately, last year we learned how to do graduation and baccalaureate mass completely differently because of everything was shut down last spring. And so we always have that as an option if we had to, as a last resort. But we've really tried to think through to ensure that our seniors, most especially, but also you as parents, get these important milestone events. This is not a senior event, but it was in the letter, and I just want to put a plug out there. We are doing senior profiles on social media. So if you're interested in getting your son or daughter to have their social media profile moment, please fill out the link that was emailed to you. Again, we'll resend that link so you have it. But it's really nice and was really fun last year as kind of a new tradition. We started to see all those senior profiles of kind of favorite Hoban memories, where they're looking to go next. So at this point, I am going to turn it over to Becky Vieltorf, who's going to chime in a little bit more about after prom, and then I think we'll open it up to questions.
Becky, if I can interrupt you before you get started, we did have a question come in, Emily, about the alumni senior breakfast, and I honestly don't know the answer. Do parents attend this alumni senior breakfast? I know that traditionally alumni parents and grandparents have been invited to that event. I don't know if things have changed with social distancing for this year.
At this point, it is open to alumni, alumni parents or alumni grandparents, and that is why we are going to have to open up both the cafeteria and alumni gym to just allow for greater spacing. But we should be able to do that fine. The part that won't work is having people stay for mass, which is unfortunate, but we really want to ensure our seniors have the opportunity to be in mass all together as a class.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more information coming out about that, and possibly signing up to volunteer for that event, which has been traditional as well if you are not an alumni yourself of Hoban. But I'm sure that there will be more communication about that coming.
It will be coming in the next month or so.
Thank you. Now, Becky, I'm sorry.
Okay, hi there. This is Becky Vieltorf. I am the chair of this year's AFTER-PROM. I have 2 older daughters, so I have chaired this before, and I've been involved in my other daughters. So it is a well-oiled machine. It is a wonderful, fun event, and I'm just going to touch on 3 quick points. One is the involvement with the parents, the committee, and why we asked for the donation. Just to touch base about the $40 donation, and then there was a separate document that came with a wish list. Hoban covers the venue itself. So they used to cover the University of Akron Rec Center. So now there's a venue fee at Guy's because we have the entire facility that night. So we as parents have to come up with the other items that involve the AFTER-PROM itself. So in some of these things, activities, food items might be different this year because of COVID, but I'm going on things that we've done that we did in 2018. We have Chick-fil-A, we did a nacho bar, we have a candy bar, we get donuts, we have coffee, we have water bottles for the kids throughout the evening. And then some of the activities have been the popular ones, the photo booth, airbrush tattoos. We had casino tables with blackjack that were a huge hit with the kids. One thing that we did, which I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to do this year, we had a parent, I think it was the Talmadges the year before, made like a money booth, and they had a leaf blower attached, and we had $1,000 in various denominations, and the kids would go in and they would have 30 seconds to catch, you know, as much money as they can. That is something I'm assuming that we cannot do, but we need to come up with some different activities to keep them engaged. The University of Akron Rec Center was wonderful because they had basketball, they had volleyball, they had tricycles. So we, in moving it over to Guy's, have to be a little bit more creative to come up with some additional items. Having said that, the food and the activities have a cost attached because we have to pay for these things through parent fundraising and the in-kind donations. So first and foremost, we have to cover the food and the activities. And I believe the food the budget was about $1,500, and I think the activities were probably about the same. I know the photo booth alone was $500. So the in-kind donation, it covers these expenses for these, first and foremost, the food and the activities. And then it's been traditional for the last, I think, 3 years, we like to give them a gift card. And we did a $10 gift card in 2018. I would love to give the kids a $20 gift card. Every student gets one, whether they attend AFTER-PROM or not. I believe when I did this in 2018, Brother Spooner, we gave him the gift cards for the kids that were not in attendance, you know, as kind of a thank you. Thank you for being a Hoban student. And it was just a nice little gesture. The wish list, so that $40 donation covers hopefully all of those items. The wish list that was attached that had things that we would love to get donated, iPad, Apple Pen, a mini fridge. We're thinking college. In 2018, I had 2 families that donated a dorm-sized flat screen TV. I think we had a Fitbit and a mini fridge and something else. So what we do is we have raffle baskets that we put together. And if you have something at home, even a $50 gift card that you want to donate, or a blanket or anything, we make baskets, and we try to make about 20 baskets. The kids get a raffle ticket upon, I was going to say upon arrival, but since they'll be right there, within going into the after prom. And then it's kind of set up like a Chinese raffle. And at the end of the night, we will draw the names, and the kids will win these baskets. We had an Ohio State basket, Fitbits. I'm trying to think of all the various things. And then above and beyond that, we do typically about 5 large grand prizes, and every student will be entered into this grand prize drawing. And again, 2018, it was the flat screen TV was the official grand prize. So we try to cover the expenses of the food and the activities itself, but the gift cards, the $10 gift cards, the prizes, all come from parents. And we, 3 years ago, and this is a different situation, but we had a couple of different fundraising activities. We had somebody that donated 2 Cavs tickets. And then at one of the basketball games, we sold tickets for $5. I think we raised about $500. And we also did a Chick-fil-A and a Chipotle fundraiser where you go and, you take the flyer, and it's a designated Hoban night. And I think we made $400 from Chipotle and $300 from Chick-fil-A. So we do have some outside fundraising opportunities, but again, the donations and the event itself is basically put on by us, the senior parents. The second thing is, since we can't meet in person, I will be setting up a Zoom link to welcome anyone that wants to be involved with this. Maria Prinzo and Liz Maria Prinzo and Liz Porter and Christy Woodburn are already on the committee to help with food, activities, and the baskets, but we do need all the help we can get. So please keep a lookout for the Zoom link that will come, where we can all brainstorm and discuss additional ideas, because now that we're not having it at the Akron University Rec Center, which, had basketball, volleyball, additional items, rock wall, we have to come up with some really creative activities for these kids. And then the third thing is, at the event itself, we do need parent participation. So there will be a sign-up genius coming out. One example is when the kids come out of prom, they have to change from their dresses into their fun clothes, so to speak. We had a family 3 years ago that owned a dry cleaning, or had a contact with a dry cleaning company that donated those bags so the kids can put their dresses in them. We need them labeled. We need parents to supervise and help with that. We need parents to help with the activities. So there will be lots of opportunities to help the night of after prom. And if you have any additional questions, you can email me, and then please be a lookout for that Zoom link. I think that's it.
But this is probably more of an Emily question, but Emily, I know that you answered this privately. I just want, for the recording and for everybody else who has this concern, if their students can leave after prom early, you had addressed this to this one parent, but I thought it would be good for everyone to hear.
So I'm going to get back to everybody on that. In the past, once you're in after prom, we ask that you stay till the end of the evening. The parents, it makes it a lot easier and safer than 200 students checking out at individual times. But I want to have a sidebar conversation with the rest of the administrative team to make sure that's our still policy, and to check in with after prom parents. We will put that out to all the parents with all of the after prom information of when they're able to come and how late or what's the earliest they can leave safely.
Perfect. We have one more question. He's just confirming that he will pick his child up personally if they're allowed to leave early. So that's great. I just want to put a plug out. I don't know if anyone has seen, but on the Hoban website, hoban.org, under Campus Life, there is a page called Class of 2021. There's a lot of the information that is being discussed here tonight on that page. So just have a look at that page to kind of keep up to date with the communications that are coming out. I know that email can get a little bit scattered in your inbox. And so that could be a good landing place for you to just kind of check in once in a while. This is a good question for Becky. Michael says that my son doesn't want to go to prom, but he wants to attend the after prom. Is that okay?
Absolutely. When we, and again, I want to hit home that $40 donation is not an obligatory one. It's an in-kind donation, and we encourage every single senior to come to after prom, regardless of whether they attend prom or not.
Perfect. That's all the questions that we have right now. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to use the Q&A at this point. I know everyone's very busy, so we might want to just end a little early tonight. Oh. Do we have to social distance at prom?
Yes, you will have to social distance. We're going to get larger tables for sitting at. If you've been to a Hoban prom before where it was a little more come in and find the table of your choice, we are going to have to work on assigned seating again so that we're able to do contact tracing. And we're going to look for your partnership as with your sons and daughters and at prom of really helping to make sure that we can safely have dancing, but we keep some of that distancing, because what I don't want to have, and I don't think anyone would, is having a big event like this and have to contact trace the entire senior class because of dancing. So we're going to work really, this is where our partnership is going to have to really come into play. But we know the seniors have worked really hard for this. So we'll give more information on that. And as people sign up for their prom tickets and sign up for their expectation of behaviors as they normally do, there'll be a few more extra details specific this year because of all the added layers.
We have a few prom questions, so I'm just going to rattle them off. And so if I need to repeat anything, let me know. Is there a cost for attending after prom? That's a no, short answer, but I'll let you guys respond more. Will masks be required at prom? At Hoban, do only dates go together, or do groups of kids go together just to hang out?
Right, Melanie, I have these pulled up, so I'm gonna kind of fly through a couple of these, okay? As students are able to buy tickets with a date, they can travel in groups and buy single tickets. They can come in any grouping that they'd like. They will, and we will create an opportunity for students when they buy their ticket to prom to identify who they want to sit with at prom. And so we'll group like friends together and do our best to put together tables. Seniors are allowed to bring a guest to prom, and that guest is able to attend after prom. That's part of the paperwork we're going to sign again, and we do every year. Everyone agrees to the expectations of behavior at prom. And again, just to clarify, that date can't be, must be under the age of 21. If they're coming from out of state, we will ask that the state not be on the travel advisory list as we update it. So just keep that in mind. If those specific questions apply to you, please let me know individually. Students are going to be able to dance at prom. Again, I think we've asked that question of Guys Party Center about 4 times to ensure at this juncture they're able to dance at prom. and they do not have to attend prom to attend after prom. If they go to prom and they don't want to attend after prom, that's okay. They can kind of pick and choose those, kind of any combination of that. And when you, towards the end of April is when students start, or I'm sorry, the end of March, beginning of April is when they'll buy tickets for prom, and all of those all that paperwork will go home with your students. So they'll be able to identify what they're attending, what they're not attending, who they're bringing, so we can keep track of that, both for our purposes, but also for to help the after prom parents out as well. What, trying to Venmo donation money to after prom. Hoban's, what's the last 4 digits of the phone number is 6658. After prom, Becky, what time does after prom end again at? I'm sorry.
Well, I think that still depends on if we have to start the prom earlier. When Mr. Lucy and I were discussing it, I'm not sure yet. It will be directly following. It's immediate. It'll be right after, but I don't know. He had said something about maybe prom might be at 6 o'clock to 9, and then after prom would be 9:30 to midnight, or I'm not sure of those exact details yet, but it's immediately following.
For the senior breakfast, everyone will choose. At this point, we don't see why students wouldn't be able to choose where they're sitting for that event. And for alumni breakfast, older siblings are invited to that as well. And so again, those details will come out from our advancement office. And for those who maybe chimed in late, we will be emailing the recording of this whole webinar to all parents probably about Wednesday, with some other links and important information we've covered.
I can answer the deadline for the senior profile. I will post through July, maybe August, anytime. We would love to have it by the end of the school year. I'm not seeing any new questions. So I think we might be good. Of course, you can always reach out. You can always reach out to us anytime and ask a question about any one of these topics or anything else for that matter. So thank you. Brother James, you want to end us? You've been very quiet.
There's been no reason to speak up. Everybody covered what I consider to be important, having been here a long time. Again, thank you to everybody who's joined us tonight. This is as good as we can do. I'm pleased that we are able to do it. I thank you for being a part of it, and pray that your children do have a successful conclusion to the end of this year. And whatever they go on to, may it be the best it can possibly be for them, and they have great success along the way. God bless. Have a good night. Let's make this the rest of this year a fantastic one. Thank you.